Now, ISO 9001 has, in recent editions, come out with some principles of quality management. I can guess where these have come from and why they've arisen. And it's due to the limits of the process-based approach, and we'll cover the process approach soon. But ISO 9001 has got 7 principles. These are, as you can see there, a customer focus, leadership, engagement with people, a process approach, continual improvement, evidence-based decision making, and relationship management. Now, these are explained pretty well what they mean. They're not just headlines like that, but they are the headlines of the 7 principles, and you could imagine roughly what they are. These all contribute in some way or other to the quality of the product or service you're producing. Now, organizations do have preferred practices that achieve these principles. So each principle is implemented by a number of practices. And generally, organizations, as I say, settle down to a few ways of doing things. First, they have to learn them. It's just too hard to change them all the time. Quality management usually has the task of identifying different practices, suggesting better practices, and ensuring appropriate practices are used. So that's your job. Unfortunately, you have to be pretty much an expert on all the practices that are possible to use in some circumstances, and the more variable the circumstances, the more practices you're going to have to be familiar with. Now, example, most work can be reviewed in some way, but there are different review practices, and you can have a look at these in IEEE Standard 1028. They list off and describe a peer review, a technical review, a walkthrough, a failure inspection, and an audit. These are all different so far as IEEE is concerned, and they go about them in different ways. If you're talking about things like a customer focus, again, there are different ways you can determine how well focused you are on the customer. And usually that's a customer satisfaction survey or something of that nature. But there are different practices you can implement to ensure that you're focused on the customer, from ensuring that you are talking to the customer or including them in your status meetings or Scrum meetings, or in software development. Some organizations actually have a customer or customer representative there working with the development team. So these are examples of ways you could implement the customer focus.